What's up, guys? Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the Jason J. Daniel Show. This is exciting. It's an exciting night for me. It's late. It's after Sunday night's premiere of The Last of Us Season 2. My music cut off abruptly. Season 2, Episode 1. It was pretty terrible. I have to be honest. So my name is Jason J. Daniel, and we're just going live. We don't have a script tonight. We're not doing any kind of guest. Tonight, I'm just going to celebrate television. I'm an actor. I don't know if you know that, but if you read my bio, it does say I'm an actor. I study movie, TV, film, streaming, stuff like that. And I like to watch TV. I like to watch movies. I like to watch films. I have a TikTok account. Sorry, it's a little awkward. Sorry. I have a I have a TikTok account. I guess I should have put this in first. If you're watching me, you're like, what? So I'm gonna fill it up like 3/4. Cheers. Mm. So we're live on X. We're live on Rumble. We are live on YouTube. Let me see here. Let me get some folks viewing this. Let me pin this to my profile. Cool. So I like to review TV. I like to review movies. I'm a harsh critic on stuff that is just an underperforming stuff, right? So I have a high standard, but I also have a low standard. I like lowbrow stuff. Let me adjust my chair a little bit. I like lowbrow stuff. I like crazy comedy, like The Hangover, stuff like that, off the wall stuff. I do love original content. I'm studying writing. Let's give you a little background for me. If you're here watching, then you asked for it. I'm also studying I'm an actor. I do scene studies. I go to acting classes, and I keep active. So I like to watch the most popular shows, the most current trending shows. Last of Us is a current trending show. Now there's a live chat. If you guys want to jump in the chat, if you're watching, go for it. We're live on Rumble, YouTube, and X, and I can see all of your comments at the same time. So please jump in if you want to jump in. Um, and so I do have, like I said earlier, I have a TikTok account, and I have more than one. And there's one TikTok account where I talk about movies and TV. So I decided to move that to my podcast. So I do a lot of different subjects, but tonight we're just going to talk about movies and TV, and it's going to be fun or just this television show. It's going to be fun because I don't know about you guys, but it's been a long couple of months. Since the beginning of this year, it's been a grind. I don't know about you, how you feel. So I've been looking forward to good TV. There's nothing like good TV or a good movie to take you out of your problems, right? And that's why I love movies and television. They take me out. So I don't want to watch something that is so realistic that depresses me, makes me feel terrible. I don't like to watch ultra violent stuff just for the sake of it. I don't like to watch stuff that's overly depressing just for the sake of it. I don't like movies and TV to preach to me unless there is a point that is universal, right? Or something that's a unique point about life. I'm cool. This show is preachy, and we'll get into that. I'm okay with it. See, I can tolerate preachiness because I'm not, I'm open minded. I'm not super, you know, brittle like that. I'm not a snowflake about things that are preachy. A lot of TV shows preach to you. But I think that television shows have to really know their audience and understand that not everybody enjoys being preached to when they're watching television. They want to get away from it all, right? And so on the other side of it, I'm not going to preach to you about them preaching to us, but I'm going to make a point of it because I think it's relevant. So as you can see by my graphic, really did not like this season premiere. I'm completely like Well, I expected to be disappointed because this show, and I'll set this up. I just rewatched season one. Just rewatched it last week, so it's fresh in my mind. This show has seriously disappointed me, but there are a lot of shows that'll do that. Um, but this one has so much promise, and I think it's the same kind of situation that they got into with Game of Thrones, where it was like the TV, I'm sorry, the book people were so dogmatic about the television show copying the book that it was really pointless to talk about the show to a book person when you're not a book person. Like didn't read the books. I mean, we're all book people, but you know what I'm saying. We should be. So it got really tough as Game of Thrones went on to actually have a conversation that was relevant and clever with somebody that wasn't so open minded about like the book. And House of the Dragon, same thing. There are things that are just really bad about House of the Dragon, season one and two, and people are okay with that because they're saying, well, it's following the book. Well, maybe the book is shitty. Let's be honest. Maybe the video game is shitty, or certain parts of the video game don't really work and translate. Now I'm talking about Last of Us. So let's just like let TV be its own thing. And I think that's a really tough battle for writers because I mean, look, everyone wants eyeballs. There's so much that's streaming that you don't have to really be captivated by one show. And so for everyone to be like wrapped up in one show like Game of Thrones, where it's a total phenomenon, like if you're a little younger and you didn't catch Game of Thrones in the beginning, all the way through to like where it was at in season 7 and 8, where people were like going to bars and going to restaurants by the hundreds and watching the premieres together, like the experience that happened because of Game of Thrones was a worldwide phenomenon. Like it changed, not only did it change the lives of the actors and the people that made the show, it changed everybody's lives. Like that show, everyone kind of like Sopranos was the show before that. That was like the touchstone show, right? So people would always go, okay, well, it's not, they would compare shows to The Sopranos. That was like the marker. And then it became Game of Thrones. Everything's compared to Game of Thrones now. And Walking Dead was also a huge phenomenon, like that one too. Everything was everything that went after that was compared to it in the genre. This has to be compared. So going to Last of Us, and why am I saying this? Because I do know what I'm talking about. I've studied film and television for years, and I'm an actor. So, and I'm studying the writing process. So I have a feel for like the how the sausage is made. And also I know how TV affects me. And that's why I'm doing this. I'm talking about television. I'm talking about TV shows. I'm going to try to get some because they moved me. I'm going to try to get some guests as we go forward. But I'm doing this one solo. So my point is where okay, so let's get to this this show. Um, I'll say, well, first, I'm going to say welcome to my show. If this is the first time that you're seeing it on X or on YouTube, I plan on doing every week on Sunday or Monday, whenever I can get around to it. I'm planning on doing a recap. So sorry if you haven't watched the show, don't watch this because there will be spoilers. I'm going to break down the show and give you my thoughts on it up to the very, end of that episode. But this episode is going to be a little different because I need to kind of recap how I felt in the last two episodes of season one before we got to this episode. It'll make more sense to you when you listen to my criticisms, and I'm pretty hard, so I just gonna put that out there because I know we all know good TV, and I expect my time. There's so many things to watch, and I expect my time to not be wasted, especially when you have the talent of the acting crew. There's some really talented actors in this show, and they also added a few characters, and they added an actress who's been around forever. Excuse me, and she's amazing, but she's like we'll see where that goes, but I just think she's terribly miscast with the role as it is so far. So I just think they miss their. How can I say this? I they missed a lot of marks for me, but I don't know if they're trying to like develop something for later and they're trying to be really clever because you know how like shows will start with a slow burn and you're like, okay, well that doesn't make sense. And that character's like really that's odd. They're not really they don't have a lot of lines. And then boom, a couple of episodes later, they're key. I hate it when shows do that. Like let us know right away what we're dealing with and be quick about it, and get us there because you can do that and it can be really good. Sopranos would do that. Game of Thrones would do that. Walking Dead would do that. I never felt, I mean, there's a lot of other shows. There's another slipping my mind. The Strain was another really great campy horror show that was dramatic, but it never wasted your time. Every scene was really important, and they didn't overdo the dialogue unless everything had a purpose. So I'm seeing what they're doing with some of these characters in this first episode. Welcome to my show, by the way. And you can follow me on Snap, IG, Rumble, YouTube at Jason J. Daniel, everywhere Jason J. Daniel. Hopefully my hat's not too high. So there's my little advertisement, and you're welcome to the show. Where was I going? Oh, let's go back to my rules on video games and books. We'll get into that, but so I guess where I'm going with this is I'm feeling that. Oh yeah, so I just don't think that Last of Us really understands like where they need to put their emphasis. Like for example, Walking Dead, the emphasis the first couple of seasons was with the monsters, the spookiness, the horror. They really emphasized the monsters, the zombies. That was important. And then they emphasized, like certain individuals' characteristics. Right away, you knew, like when in Walking Dead, the first two seasons, when Shane came into the John Berthal, when his character Shane showed up, you knew what Shane was about, and you knew he was unpredictable, but you could kind of predict he was unpredictable, right? Daryl the same way, Andrew Lincoln's character, Rick, like you knew what you were dealing with. In this show, they're trying to evolve the characters like almost episode to episode. And maybe that works for a video game, but it just doesn't work for a drama or a horror or, you know, LGBTQ uh, romance. I'm not sure where they're going, and I'm okay with whatever. I'm just saying pick a lane because I'm not sure. Okay, like Ellie's on horseback with a new girl, and they start talking about teenage love and who they're dating, but they're going to like hunt. I guess these are zombies. I'm confused. The cordyceps dudes, I don't know. I'd say that's the other. I'm not. I have to be honest. I'm not really sold on this whole plot, but I'm trying to get sold. And one of the main reasons I'm on this journey with this show is because of Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey are really fantastic actors. And for her to be that good at her age, at that level, it's wild stuff. He is super brilliant, of course. So I'm good with them. Like I can work. Their scenes are really good. That's why when they're not in a scene together, the show's really bad. And that's unfortunate. It's fortunate, but it's unfortunate because when you have a really good what's the word, ensemble, you can do a lot in different scenes, and you don't have to have everybody together. When you got really super strong actors, you're cool, right? And good dialogue, you can move from scene to scene. That's why Walking Dead was so cool because they could take Rick and put him with Andrea in the first few seasons, or Carl, or you could put Carl with Daryl, right? And you could split them all off, and they could have an adventure, and you're in. You're not missing a beat, and they bring it all back, right? Walking Dead, the acting was really good, and they got really lucky because they had an amazing ensemble. Everybody was really good. And towards until season 5, where they started bringing in so many characters and they had so much going on that it was really tough to work with that formula because they really then they were trying to follow the comic books too much. Same kind of thing with Game of Thrones. But like when Negan showed up, that was a whole game changer, right? So Walking Dead was able to game change you with really substantial characters that you were like, oh, this is a force to be reckoned with, right? Like when Negan came in, and this is part of my rules on adaptations. When Negan came in, um, he was like really he was wild. He was freaky. Like the episode he showed up, he was vicious, right? It was like it changed. It was almost like a TV changing moment. Like everybody talked about it, and it made me not want to watch the show anymore because it was so brutal. Like, boom, right? But I'm not seeing anything like this with like when they're introing new characters into this formula. I'm not seeing things like that because what they're doing is maybe it's a video game thing, and I'm not trying to down video game players. It's whatever. I mean, obviously, video games are mega multi-million dollar franchises. Like a video game is more important than a movie now, right? That video games make much more money. They're cheaper, but they make the same amount of money as like a Marvel blockbuster, right? And that's why we're talking right now about this show. But when it comes to introducing characters, you have to, when it comes to a television show, especially when you have 9 episodes or something, you got to hit me hard with a character. You got to, right? Now, the one character last season that they did that with was the evil cannibal preacher Jesus guy. They hit you with him. Like he was subversive, but you knew he wasn't cool. You knew there's a problem. And then he straight up, like within an episode, he's like, I'm a cannibal, pedo, vicious, weird cult leader monster guy. It was wild, right? He was like a super vicious character, which made no sense to kill him that fast. Made no sense. Like that would have been cool for that dude to like survive, right? And then you're always worried about that fucker coming back. Instead, it seemed, I'm gonna be really honest with you, and I don't want to be that guy, but it seems like the biggest threat in this episode was uh the love story, like the threat to their love. Some guy comes out and calls him Dykes, and then he gets punched or pushed down by Joel to send a clear social message to us that don't call young teenage girls dykes if they're dancing. We get that. Cool. It's not acceptable, but like, why was that in there? I don't understand. So, and I'm not, look, I have no problem with it. It's not even my, but what I'm trying to say is like, you're, the biggest threat in this episode was like no threat. It's like, we'll get to it. But the biggest threat in this episode it was dudes showed up at the end that were like at the beginning, mad teenagers, like young. I'm just confused on like what my threat is. And that's what brings me to Ellie, because this, I understand, and I don't know the spoilers. I know some of you are watching this. Oh, well, let me finish on my rules. Okay, I guess I didn't get to them, and I'll drop this banner up if I start to get into my rules again. But my rules uh, for TV adaptations, book adaptations, comic book adaptations is I don't talk about it in relation to the show as it's like it's not going the right way, or I don't compare it. It doesn't matter to me because the television show is a different genre. It's a different universe. So think of it that way, different universe. So it doesn't matter to me. So if, for example, in The Walking Dead, I believe somebody loses an eye or something. They lose a hand. Oh yeah, Rick loses a hand, but he doesn't lose a hand in the television show because it would have made no sense to cut off Rick's hand. I think I get that right. Whatever. That makes no sense, to the story because it makes him less. It doesn't work to a television story. And then, Carl gets shot in the head. We're still talking Walking Dead. And in the comic book, he gets shot in the head and he survives. That doesn't make any sense in the real world. And it really threw me off when they did that. It made me go, this show is really losing me because there's no way the guy can get shot in the brain, have no brain trauma, come back and be totally cool. Just put an eye patch on. So it's something they didn't need to do, but they did it for the fans. So when it comes to this this video game adaptation, I don't care about you as a video game fan. I don't give a fuck. I want a good television show. Okay, so that being said, we're not going to go there. I'm not going to compare it. I don't know, and I don't know the spoilers on it. All I know is a television show, so I'm going to go with what I know. Um, and there's a point where this show might totally lose me. Like I'm worried because like I'm gonna do this. I was excited to do this. So I'm gonna do this every week. But if the show gets really bad, I might just not. I might stop. I might do an episode and say it's my last one of this series. But we're cool at this point. So let's just get into the recap. So season, let me, if you're watching on X, I appreciate you so much. Here we go. Let's see here. Do we got some X watchers? We got some. We got some peeps. So some people watching it live. So we'll go with it. So let's recap. So if you're just jumping on and you haven't watched the episode, turn this off, bookmark it, tap that little bookmark, or save this. Please follow me. Follow me. I appreciate that. Subscribe on YouTube or Rumble. Come back to it if you haven't watched the episode. The episode is like okay. One of the things that disappointed me, and I'm going to be honest, really disappointed. One of the things that disappointed me was it wasn't a longer episode, which season premieres usually are. This is a really anticipated television show, and I even read that they have a bigger budget. So it was a regular size show. Didn't like that. Okay. So it was shorter. It opens up with a recap, which was really great. Actually, there's a really emotional recap of season one. Very emotional. It got me. I was like, okay, cool. So there's really good moments. It reminded me there's really good moments in the show. There's just a lot of lingering moments that stretch out, and it really kills like the flow of it. Or they'll do a show like they did a show with the guy from Parks and Rec and his husband. I guess they got married, and they did like this whole time jump, right? Of I guess 20 years of them together in order to prove a point, and the guy's got a secret layer or something, and then they die, and Joel shows up after, but Joel knew them younger. All these things, right? Time jump, confusing shit. By the way, they do a lot of confusing stuff with their time jumps. Whatever. And I just that one-off show when the first time I watched it, I didn't appreciate it because I'm like, come on, move, move. It like slowed it down, and I'm like, okay, I understand. The point is you're doing a show that you're trying to have a love story. You want to have a romantic, cool. It was a well done episode. Pulled your heartstrings, but it was boring as fuck because we're in a zombie fucking apocalypse, guys. So that made no sense that two cats would just be chilling and have a life and jogging and all these things and dinners and playing piano and the world's going to hell and they're cool. That just doesn't track. It doesn't make sense. And the other side of it is these guys have a super cool layer for years and and then Joel, like that made no sense. Joel, he takes the pickup. Come on. So there are things that they do in this show to move you through this video game like world that make no sense to a television show or reality, but I guess in a video game it makes sense. So stuff like that. So time jump. So we have a 5. So anyway, back to the emotional trailer. So it reminded me of like, okay, so when I saw these really good moments flowing together, I'm like, this show pops, man. Cool. And most of the scenes are Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal, who have fantastic chemistry. And then when other characters in season one would come into their realm, would be introduced into their chemistry, then those characters popped because they're working with a really good acting dynamic. Now, when you have an acting dynamic, I'll just give you a little insight on acting. The longer shows go, the better they can get because people know each other really well, and it's instinctual, and they're really good friends in some cases. And so it's like this really cool acting dynamic, and acting becomes like a secondhand language, especially when you're doing a character for a year or years or months. So when you bring really good actors into that realm, when you've got good actors that have chemistry, when you introduce new actors, it makes them better. Like that's just like the synergy of acting. Okay. But when you're always doing herky jerky stuff and time jumps, and then you're taking Pedro and putting him with another actor, and that actor isn't at his level, it drags the show down. Or you're really confused as to what the point of that character is because you're waiting for some reveal. And that is what is kind of disappointing, is that this show is, I hope they stop doing this, but I kind of feel like that they're setting us up all the time for like a reveal of a character being something different than what you get in the first appearance of the character. And it is exhausting. And it also takes away from the mystery because you're going to always expect, okay, this guy is nice, but he's a cannibal, right? He's going to try to eat him later on. So when people come in, new characters come in, you're always distrusting them and you miss the acting or you miss like the chemistry until you watch it later on. Makes sense? Because then when it develops and you realize, oh, they're a bad character or a good character, whatever, you've already gotten through that journey. You can go back when you watch it again and go, oh, okay, that makes sense. And you're more relaxed and you can enjoy. But this show wants to keep you on edge, but they do it in a real, like, I guess, just predictable way that's like kind of draining, if that makes sense. Like, for example, there's a scene in this episode where Ellie falls. We'll get there. She falls through the proverbial, we're fine. And then, they fight a zombie. We're fine. Ha, ha, ha. And then the floor breaks and she falls through. Come on. Really? Super lame. In fact, Walking Dead did it a bunch of times. She falls through into a freaking grocery store, which is what Walking Dead did. Okay, so it's the same shit. And then, so she's by herself, and then the person, well, I'll get you help. Okay, great. So she's by herself in this old grocery store. What do you think's going to happen? Well, she gets attacked by some a weird one, like a different, it's a cordyceps dude, but it's a little different. Okay. Predictable shit. So it's boring me. It bores me. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm not 15, 19, 25, and things excite me that I like that, but I'm hard to impress. I don't know. I just want some good TV. But 19-year-olds have seen that in every television show. So anyway, okay, so let's get back. So we have a time jump. Okay, that being said, spoiler alert. I should have done it. I should have did a graphic that's spoiler alert. Okay, so we got a time jump. I know it was 30 minutes of me prepping you, whatever. So we have a time jump. Okay, the time jump is 5 years, which so first, if you recall in the last episode of last season, which is very good, the last 2 episodes were unbelievable. That's why I hung in there. And I appreciate they gave us 2 really good episodes. They could have made it into a 2-hour finale like Game of Thrones would do. That would have been dope. But, watching them after the fact and getting to watch the season again, that was a great 2 episodes. Fantastic work, guys. So, like, I'm not that critical all the time. So I expected more out of this episode. So so it starts off with a group of young people that are all different, like they're very diverse young people, clearly like very polished. They're all wearing clean. The clothing thing, it bothers me because everybody's wearing nice clothes. It's like, okay, it's the apocalypse, dude. Where's the gap? I mean, really? So they're all hanging out, and the fireflies. Joel kills the fireflies, which was super cool. He executes them like a fucking man. He goes in there like a Jedi Rambo, knocks everybody out, saves her. They split. Then he lies to her, which was very emotional. She apparently, apparently in this episode, she knows he lied to her, like whatever, like it seemed like they smoothed it over, but now they didn't, which is pointless. So now you have the big lie, right? Joel has a big secret. Great. Here we another trope. Like it's really lazy writing, honestly. It would have been better for her to have believed that secret and then him tortured by it, but instead she clearly knows he lied to her and she has an attitude. So the biggest threats in this episode are the girls can't kiss on the dance floor and without somebody calling him a dyke, and Joel and Ellie have a secret and they're mad at each other. It's so dumb. And then it's whatever. So they let's go back to the young people dressed like the Gap. So they're all like vowing revenge over the fireflies, which makes no sense. And then the leader is a young girl. A young girl. Nothing wrong with that. But the leader is some chick. She's like, we're gonna kill him slow. We're gonna find Joel and kill him. First of all, she's way too young to be that fucking vicious. Second of all, she didn't look like she'd been in any kind of firefight. So like if she had, it's like these, they look squeaky clean, and then they're like, yeah, we're gonna track him and kill him. They didn't look like killers. Like if this had been a group of people that had scars or looked like they knew what they were doing with their weapons, and they looked like the Fireflies, but they weren't Fireflies. They were like Firefly Juniors or something, just preposterous. So I'm like, okay, you're losing me. And I guess they bury them all, and they put their little pendants on their cross tombs, like dumb. So then you got a time jump, and then you jump to Ellie doing like some MMA fight, which made no sense. So she's fighting some guy, okay, who's like 250 and built really well. And he's fighting her, and she's doing moves on him. And then she throws him into a triangle arm bar, puts her legs up on him. She's like, ah! and then clearly you're like, okay. And she's got a bloody nose, so it looks like she's fighting in some barn, and you're like, what? It is confusing for a second. But then when you see she's like kind of winning the fight, you're like, what? There's no way. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I know it's a video game, but there's no fucking way a girl that is, they say she's 19 now. Okay, cool, which makes more sense. Also, her being 14 and them doing a lot of like love story with her was a little odd. I don't want to be that guy, but I was a little uncomfortable with the first season of them really getting into a 14-year-old like trying to bang another girl. It was a little much. So now that okay, cool, you've got him at 19. I can work with that. No worries there. We're cool. But there's no way a 19-year-old, her being so small, could ever outfight that guy. Not happening. So she's outfighting him. She puts him in some sort of an arm bar. He's tapping. Clearly an MMA thing. Clearly like, okay, let's put some MMA in here. And then there's a guy on the side. There's a reveal. The guy on the side's like, okay, stop, Ellie, stop. And she's so vicious. She won't let. It's just pointless stuff. Then she gets up and talks shit to these guys, and then she leaves and she walks out mad. And she's mad at Joel. And it's like, she's just a terrible person now. Like, you go from her being like a very interesting character who's vulnerable, but yet goes through this real vicious transformation. She's got spoiler alert, she's got to kill the cannibal guy. She survives that, which I have to tell you, one of the best episodes of acting I've seen anyone do. Not just saying, but at her age and her youth, to be that good in that episode. She was at all these different levels, right? And it was crazy. Like, I was thinking that she must have been so exhausted after that episode. It was, look, she put everything into it. So my point is that for her to be at that where she was at character wise, and then Joel saves her and all that, and she's like really vulnerable, to now she's this like douchebag. It made no sense to me. So she's mad. She's walking around. Now we're in Wyoming, I guess, where this where Joel's brother and sister-in-law are there. Their kid is now 5 because she was pregnant. And the actress that plays the sister-in-law, she was in True Blood and a number of other things. What is her name right here? Let me jump. She's so good. I'm kind of in love with her, to be honest. She's really good. Let me like share my screen here. Let's go to the IMDb. Okay. Let's go to the cast. Okay. So she's let's see here. Where is she? Oh, where's my presentation? Cool, there it is. Okay. Let me take this graphic off. Where is she at? She is she at the top. Let's see where she. Oh, Rutina Wesley, Maria Mel. Yeah, she's so good. She was in True Blood. I don't know if you ever saw True Blood, one of the greatest vampire television shows ever. The last season was not good at all, but she's so good. So the intro her again. Now They have a child. Joel is like some clockmaker or some shit. Everybody else is wanting to fight the cordyceps, but him now. And then also they introduce Catherine O'Hara, who is completely miscast, at least at this point, with what they're doing with her. She's the therapist. They reveal to you that Joel's in therapy, and there's another beautiful teenage, well, 19 or 20, young adult girl that's hanging out, and she is Isabel Merced, Dina, played by Isabel Merced. So she's in the mix. She's hanging out with Joel, and she's kind of being the sweet Ellie character. And she's friends with Ellie, and she's trying to counsel him. So you've got like 20 minutes of family feud here. And then Joel goes to therapy, and which makes no sense. Now, I know they're trying to soften Joel up, which is fine. Cool. I'm cool with that. Whatever. But it was just a little lame to me. And then Catherine O'Hara's character, she's the therapist. Now, you know her from Schitt's Creek. She's a brilliant actress altogether. So I'm not saying, when I say she's miscast, I'm not saying that her acting is not up to par. In fact, her and Pedro in the scene they're in, it was just the chemistry was super flat. And it could have been the editing. It just could have been the way they were editing. It was weird. I didn't like the dialogue. The dialogue was weird. Pedro had a scene where he gets really emotional over the lie or the, I don't know. And they try to put him in a situation where he's ultra vulnerable. I just didn't really understand where they're going with these characters. They're completely, I guess, like Joel, I guess they're switching places, right? Ellie was the vulnerable, emotional one, trying to figure things out, and Joel was the mean, nasty, tough one. And now the tables have turned. Whatever. Again, I could be totally confused because the video game. So Ellie, apparently, she's now got a teenager room, and everybody's living in like a nice, like what they did with Walking Dead, right? Where Alexandria, where they all like had a moment where they were all hanging out, and that went to hell. But they had homes and houses, and they had a fence. They were in a protected community. They could let their hair down a little bit, and get haircuts, and have potlucks, stuff like that. Well, that's what's going on here. They're having a reprieve. So essentially they're so safe and protected, they can have, first world problems, right? So Ellie's in in a teenager room, and she's trying to, be a teenager and all this shit. And she's nasty and mean. And then they tell her, hey, you got to chill out. You always can't, I guess Ellie just wants to go out and kill cordyceps, and she's super aggressive. They switch you to a scene where she's out shooting, and you show her. Obviously, this is foreshadowing. They show her doing target practice and killing zombies. I'll just call them zombies, cordyceps zombies, core zombies, whatever. That they're all apparently slow now, but last season they were World War Z. Figure this out, guys. So she's doing skeet shooting with the heads of cordyceps, and she's really good, but not really. Like, she's learning. So clearly there's gonna be a moment. This is exactly what I'm dealing with. Lazy writing. Clearly there's gonna be a moment where she's gonna have to save somebody with some crack shot, right? If there's always ways to set that up without like clearly setting it up, right? But whatever. So everybody keeps telling Ellie, chill out. Okay, you're too aggressive, and you're not obeying the rules. But she continues to be a douchebag. And so they start. Then from there, it gets into who Ellie is having love stories with. And there's two girls, and they're on the horses. I guess there's three girls. There's a love triangle. There's a girl she was, I don't know, dating. I'm like, come on, like, just let's get to the fucking zombies and shit. Like I'm not signing up for, Vampire Teenage Diaries. It's cool. Like, I get it, but that's like, that's not, they have to really understand the demographic is way beyond that small segment that they're trying to, I guess, engage with the love story. And it's not a problem. It's just, it bores me a little bit, slows shit down. If you love it, cool, but it slows it down. And again, some people are like, oh, okay, that might be video game. Okay, cool. It's whatever. You go, girls. So they get to a point to where they go out on some sort of a hunt, which makes no sense. Like why you would go out on patrols, none of this makes any sense to me. Also, what doesn't make sense to me is that freaking why is the cordyceps thing not in the air, right? Why like so the cordyceps track with me. It's a fungi, but you don't get it through breathing spores. You have to get bit, or they have to stick a fungi in your mouth, whatever. Now, I will say this. I watched one of the behind the scenes things last year and last season. And the creators, the writers, there's a moment they're like, yeah, in the video game, it's spores. We just didn't think that would really make sense in the real world. So we took that out. Okay. Okay. So whatever. So it doesn't make sense to me. So basically the zombie bite is like a zombie bite now. So they've gone back to the rules of real zombie stuff, which might actually save this series because it was getting a little too highbrow scientific weird to me to go, okay, it's a fungi, but like you can't breathe it, which is usually how any kind of bacteria is passed. Oh yeah. And when they're stabbing these fucking things and it's all squirty, not getting in your mouth. The one thing that always blows my mind. Now, Walking Dead did fix this later on when they started to get soldiers or when they started to get more sophisticated and people were wearing masks and shit. But everybody's like, let's go fight a cordyceps with your mouth wide open. I don't get that. Like the last thing I would do, if this was a contagious disease, the last fucking thing, like in this episode, just preposterous shit. And again, it's another thing where they are telling us to basically be stupid when we watch this. And I'm okay with suspension of disbelief. That's the way it works. But this is straight up just be dumb because our character is going to do dumb shit. And we want you to just believe that they're that dumb, but you should think they're great. Because there's this, they take their guns in one. She puts a gun away and pulls a knife out, and they want to kill him. Chomp, chomp, and they're just excited about knifing these things. And it's like, so you're not getting, Now I understand Ellie apparently is immune. I can get that, but every other character does the same shit. They're like, let's knife it. Shoot these fucking things, man. Like I would never go up and knife one with my mouth open, at least without having a coverage. Makes no sense. Okay, so they go out on this hunt. Ellie is having a love triangle, whatever. And her and this Dina, the new introduced character, who I got to say, I love her. I think she's great. She's sassy. I like that. She brings life to the first 20 minutes are dull as fuck, except for her. Her character, I love how they directed her. I don't know if they were like, you go, girl, just be sassy. If that was the direction, or she took the script and she's like Dina sassy or whatever, like the video game is. I liked it because she breathed. She was kind of like the realistic person. Like she was like, okay, we're basically like she had a positive attitude, but she's like, but still like, I don't know, just kind of like just a real upbeat character when everyone else are like just being dicks, right? So I thought that was cool. So I like chirps. Anyway, Dina and Ellie go into this building and everybody says, don't go. And they're like, we're going. Who does that shit? Nobody goes, 5 people tell me don't go, but you guys stay out here. Okay. It's like, there's like a dead bear out there, dead cordyceps dudes. There's blood everywhere. Clearly there's cordyceps dudes in this building. No help for miles. There are 3 people with guns and horses outside, but we're like, no, it's cool. You guys fucking stay. We're fine. Really? And so you're just kind of like, to me, instead of like being in like suspense, it was like, let's just get to where you fall through the floor and you're trapped and then something secretive happens, which is what happened. So Ellie gets in there. They're having this little thing. They're having fun trying to kill cordyceps. Of course, Ellie's like, okay, that one's cool. Kill that cordyceps. We're good. And then the floor falls Really? She falls to the floor, and again, Walking Dead stuff. And now I'm really concerned that they're going to just start ripping off Walking Dead because they don't have real material, whatever. So then Dina's like, "Well, you okay?" And she's like, "I'm cool." And Dina's like, "I'll be right back." Really? So then Ellie encounters, which we knew would happen. Now, I will say this. I will. I will say this. For all of my criticism, the horror scene in the grocery store was super interesting. They went horror movie on us, and they gave you this. So they went from teenage lesbian love story to the whole uh, campy horror movie. Don't go in the building. We're fine. They do that. So they do like all these different genres. They're confused. Then you get to the horror movie thing. So she falls in, and it's kind of creepy. It's kind of cool. Ellie's kind of like, okay, I might be outmatched here. Ellie's, for the first time after being a dick, realizes I doing a triangle choke on a cordyceps not going to get me through, which also made no sense that they were training her in MMA when I have not seen anyone beat a cordyceps by throwing it in a triangle choke. Didn't see that coming. That's not the recipe for killing zombies, triangle choking them. Newsflash, they're not breathing. They're dead. That's not going to work. Okay, so you could see in the acting, you could see her character developing this sense of dread of like, okay, well, I could be outclassed here. Okay, now going back to that, let me just say this. Bella Ramsey's a really great actress. The material in this episode was cheating her. It wasn't good material. In fact, if you wanted to have Ellie be a douchebag and mad at Joel, have a scene where she gives it to him and goes, "I'm mad because of this," and put that drama in there so you can move the story on, because it's not about the drama, it's about the fucking survival, right? But they made it more leveraged on the drama and completely made it seem like, well, survival is not that big of a deal in this episode, which it should be a big fucking deal in every episode. So I'm not blaming the actress here. I'm blaming the material. Clearly, it's a bad episode one. Like, they clearly had all these like ideas and they jam it in, and they didn't focus on the writing, because the scene with Pedro Pascal and Catherine O'Hara, they are world class actors, and that scene was not that good because of the writing and the chemistry and the editing. So it's all about making a television show is a whole lot of things that have to go right. I just think that they're just like, we're trying to get to, I feel like they're trying to get to the next episode. And that's what House of Dragon did. They're like, we're going to give you 4 shitty episodes because we're going to give you a really cool battle in episode 5, but then you'll forgive us for a terrible 6. I hate that shit. Just go Walking Dead and make every episode, or Sopranos, or The Boys, another incredible show that every moment's fantastic with a fantastic ensemble. Give us that. That's what I want to watch. I want to watch a show that every second counts. I don't feel like in this survival show that these people are not looking at the stakes are super high. Now, there could be a point, because at the end, we'll get to the end, and what happens at the end does give you the message that they are kind of getting their eye off the ball, and they're not realizing the stakes are still very high, and you as the audience are like, okay, we see the stakes are still high, but it doesn't make any sense that you'd have all these really smart people not understanding how high the stakes are. And I'll tell you, and then there's another dumb thing that these people do that I'll get to in a moment. So back to Ellie in the horror. So they do a horror movie thing, which I really dug. I thought was cool. And then you have a cordyceps that you're confused. They almost make it seem like it's a human that's like in pain or alive, because it does like human distracting things, and then kind of does this cat and mouse thing, and then out of nowhere, doesn't do the whole like, like sneaks up on Bella, okay, or Ellie. Okay, so there's a scene. So Ellie, so I'm interested. They did some things here. We'll see where it goes. So Ellie gets attacked by this this different kind of. It was almost like, if you've seen The Strain, they have they call them the feelers. These little children that are click, click, click. They make these clicking noises, like spider type vampire children that climb walls, which is super scary and effective. This is the same kind of a thing. Again, they're ripping off a lot of other shows. So this thing's kind of like moving like a spider, almost like a monkey a little bit, attacks her. It's like I guess a grown woman, and it bites her. So that's like, oh, that's that. Wow, you're like, oh my god. So that's a tough moment, right? Good moment. It bites her. Ellie kills it, or I think she kills. Yeah, she shoots it a couple times, and then her friend happens to show up right then. Right? Oh, how's it going? And Ellie's like, I'm fine. Now, before her friend shows up, Ellie clearly lifts her shirt and she's like, I got bit. Camera goes in. Not only do you see she got bit, you see like a little like cordyceps worm or some shit, which is super disturbing. So they're sending you the message, this is not going to be a problem that goes away. Okay. So then she puts her shirt down, she rolls over, and then her friend shows up. So logically, Dina, who's running up to this, one, is going to be shouting before she gets there. Two, is going to see that she got bit. And three, she's going to go, you got fucking bit, dude. But of course, Dina's so dumb, this character, she doesn't see anything. Makes no sense. So again, it's dumb things that characters do that are dumb, expecting you to be cool with the dumb stuff so you can move to the next level. Cool. Look, you might think I'm being hard, but a lot of shows are better than this. And this show is better than this. I'm completely shocked that they're so bad. Okay. So then here's the other dumb thing I was going to tell you about. So then they go to a council, like a Jedi council. And so the two young ladies are sitting there like getting interrogated at a Jedi council, and then Regina, the actress, and then Joel's brother, who went from being here's the thing, he was a sorry, take a drink. Man, I wish I had somebody to talk to on this one. There's nobody in the chat, but one day there will be. So they so Joel's brother was a total fuck up, as apparently like the head of the Jedi Council now. Makes no sense. But people evolve. Again, it's a 5-year time jump. Now keep in mind, we're 25 years. We're 25 years from the outbreak, and nobody has gotten older. That also makes no sense. Like the only people that got older the only person that got older was Bella Ramsey. At this point, Joel would be like 60 years old, I think. And he doesn't really have gray hair. Now, maybe they got like hair dye and stuff, and I get it. You can see a little gray in his hair, but it's just, he looks good, which I'm not no knock, but it's just the time jump doesn't make sense, except for the growth of Bella Ramsey, in real life, which makes sense. So they have this Jedi Council thing, and they're like, here's another dumb thing. They're like, what happened? And she's like, well, this thing came out and acted like it was stalking me, hunting me. That's different. Okay, now we're talking about, and I see the point, 25 years of evolution with these cordyceps things. So they're now going to bring us to, they're really smart. Now, Walking Dead did the same thing. The Strain did this, like every like zombie vampire thing. Always when these things get smarter, right? Okay. So we've seen all the movies. Apparently these guys haven't. And so they're like, oh, that's all? No big deal. What? They wave off that these things are evolving. Like that would be a major news story, okay? That would be, we're going out and we're like, everybody would be like, I would be, if I was leading this place, I'd be like, okay, we're getting every gun we can and we're going out and seeing how well these fuckers have evolved, right? That would be a problem. And plus, you always know when you've got the group like hanging out, so then they're like, here's where I'm going. They're like, okay, don't worry about it. So they tell the girls cool. Then did anything else happen? And Ellie's holding her stomach. No, I'm cool. She leaves. Okay. And then the rest of the group hangs out and they're like, what do you think? And they're like, I don't know. Sounds interesting. Let's party. It's New Year's. Okay. So they set aside the most important thing that they should be concerned about so they can go party. And that's what these movies and stories, then they have like a dance. Whenever they got a dance, people are going to get fucked up after the dance. The whole thing's going to go to hell. It was like Game of Thrones. Whenever Game of Thrones had a wedding or if they had a dance, you knew something bad was going to happen. So they have a dance. So instead of something legitimately bad happening at the dance, you've got Bella Ramsey trying to have a kiss on the dance floor with Dina, which is fine. Go girls. But then like some old guy comes out and calls them dykes, which made no sense because you're thinking at this point in the cordyceps zombie apocalypse, people would like that's the last thing they'd be wanting to worry about is if someone is, kissing on the dance floor and they happen to be women, whatever. And then Joel comes out of nowhere, pushes the guy down, and he wants to fight. Then Bella does something. Bella Ramsey's character, Ellie, does something that's completely against any character writing ever. She fucking goes one ham on Joel, screams at him, and says, "You're worse than the guy who called us." Essentially, the guy that called us a dyke's not a problem. You're the problem because you tried to defend it. The whole thing's stupid. Like it made no sense. It's like the worst writing. Whoever wrote it, it's like, okay, can we just let's get to the end. Okay, cool. Let's scratch this lame. I have a typo there. My graphics lame too. Ending was lame, apredictable. That should say unpredictable. So they're like, okay, so let me change that. There we go. Fixed. And they're like, let's worry about this guy being a bigot. Let's not worry about, or it's not about the bigot. It's about Joel actually doing the right thing. I would like that moment made you mad. I would have done the same thing Joel did. I got mad when the guy called him dykes. I was like, hey, let him kiss. Number one, let him kiss. Can you? Let's spice this fucker up. It's been boring until this point. They're building up to a kiss. This fucker interrupts it. And then Joel does the right thing. And then it made no sense. Okay. So then she leaves. Joel leaves. He goes and plays a guitar for some reason in the cold. It's snowing. He's out playing a guitar. The whole thing makes no sense. What? You like play guitar in the cold? Dude. And like not even wearing a parka. It's fucking freezing out there. It's like winter as shit. And then Bella's walking out there. Ellie's walking out there. She sees him. She's got an attitude, whatever. And then maybe I'm missing something, but because the whole thing was completely the worst ending ever. Like nothing cool happened in the ending. Nothing cool. And then they go on with their party. And then we cut to a scene of somebody with sparklers or some shit. I was like, whatever. And then you notice now earlier in the first part of the episode, they're breaking pipes and they find overgrowth. They find growth in the pipes because they're trying to rebuild, civilization. And they're just kind of, oh, there's a whole lot of like weeds in here. Not a big deal. Dude, the first thing I would have done if I was in charge of this apocalypse, like I would have set the whole forest on fire. Like, don't you understand? Burn it all down and you kill the cordyceps. Like there are ways to solve this problem that nobody thought to do. Like you just fucking burn everybody. You burn this fucking thing down, right? It makes no sense. So they leave. So when they break this pipe and you see all these weeds, I'm thinking that's probably not good. What do you think, man? What weed? Like weeds are getting in our mouth and growing into us and making us zombies. Maybe we shouldn't just leave these weeds. No, they leave the weeds. And I'm not some expert in cordyceps killing, but I'm thinking get some Roundup, man. That's not cool. So you forget about that. And then at the very end, they zoom in on that pipe and you see cordyceps things move. Like, dude, predictable, one. Two, that makes no sense because these guys should be smart enough to go, hey, we don't want any fucking weeds inside of our fucking campgrounds or city. So that's lame. And then you cut, then they're like long drawn camera, CG. Then they cut to outside of the compound and remember those, the kids dressed like they're from the Gap, young adults that were so mad and they're out for blood and they want to kill Joel. They somehow end up dressed like commandos outside of this. There's like 6 of them and they're ready to rock. Now I only see 6, maybe there's more. And now I did not watch the preview. I'm not the guy. I hate this shit. I know they need to do these things for the next episode. I stop it. I'm not the guy. I hate watching spoilers. So I don't know what happens. You might know. I don't know what happens. But they're all poised outside. So what you see is clearly the stakes are very high, but everybody inside that compound, for some reason, after 25 years of going through this, they somehow tonight don't think the stakes are high, which makes no sense to the story, no sense to these characters that are badasses. They're acting like idiots. You don't live 25 years to an apocalypse and not be smart, right? They're idiots. And then you've got these commando kids that you saw coming, and you've got weeds growing up. And then obviously, then they also did a scene of Ellie trying to cut out the cordyceps from her, which she takes a sharp Bowie knife or whatever, a hunting knife. I'm not a knife expert, forgive me. And then she starts cutting into the most painful part of her stomach and doesn't flinch. That makes no sense. Now, that could be that they could be trying to develop. Now, they did say in the last season she got cordyceps in her brain. All right, they established that she has she essentially, if you, now I don't know anything about the video game, but essentially if you're going to imagine what that's like, she has a nervous system that already has cordyceps in it. They did say they're physically in her brain. So it could be that she, let's just, think outside the box here. It could be her tolerance for pain is much different than the average human. There was also a conversation earlier which she got in the very beginning where she was doing MMA. She was bleeding and she had gotten punched. And the guys had a conversation because they punched her in the training. And she was like, hey, that didn't hurt. And they're like, hey, we didn't fucking hit you hard. We held back. This guy's a brute. He's like 250 and he's rocked out. One of the guys says to her, clearly, you're awake. If he had hit you full blast, he would have KO'd you. That's not the point. She's like, next time, hit me hard. Even if you're training, you don't want to get hit in the face and knocked out. It's dumb. Clearly, they're writing the script for 15, 16-year-olds. This is not a script that makes sense to adults. Now, okay, boomer me all you want, but adults are paying for this shit. Adults are writing this shit. Adults are paying for these subscriptions. Okay, mostly adults are watching this, but I felt like I was watching a television show that was for adults last season, and now it's for juniors, and they're really just trying to make it like Vampire Diaries. I did not really appreciate that and didn't expect that. So the ending was lame and predictable. In my opinion, I didn't have the stars. I should give you some stars. But my opinion on this is it was a terrible season premiere. And that's my recap for you. If you sat through this, God bless you. You're awesome. If I was to give it stars, I would give it 3 stars. I'd give it 3 stars. And that is out of 5. I'd give it 3. And I'm disappointing myself for saying that because the last 2 episodes, out of 5, I would give you 7 stars. I thought they were outstanding. I'll just look at it this way. The penultimate episode where Ellie was trapped by the cannibal preacher guy, I really thought that was one of the best episodes of TV I'd watched in a long. I just thought about Stranger Things. Stranger Things is another incredible series that they never miss with the chemistry, the actors. Every moment, you always feel the stakes are high, even though they're not technically. You're always feeling the stakes are high. And they didn't do that in this episode. I really felt like it was and maybe it's a brand new writing crew, maybe it's a brand new staff, but I felt like it's a different show. And they're like, okay, take all these parts and put them together, and they failed us. So, look, I'm not critical of the show in a negative way at all. I'm telling you, that episode with the cannibal preacher and Ellie escaping and fighting for her life, one of the best episodes of TV I've seen in 5 years. And I put that, like, I'm gonna come up with like a top 10 episodes in the last 5 years of TV, and that one would be right up there. It's one of the top 10 episodes. If someone was to ask me what's the best episode of this series, I tell them watch that one. It's all you need to watch. And one last thing I'm going to say before we sign off, and thanks for watching, guys. Again, if you're watching this late, My name is Jason J. Daniel. Follow me on X, Snap, IG, Rumble, YouTube. I do all sorts of topics. I love TV. I'm going to do more TV and movies. And I will be doing this every week on Sundays. And just so you know, let me take this graphic off. There's my, there's my handle, Jason J. Daniel. There it is, Jason J. Daniel. So follow me, and please subscribe. I really appreciate it. But I will do I'm going to do a breakdown of every episode. One last thing I'm going to say about this terrible season premiere. Two things I'm going to say. One, I'm rooting for a really great episode 2. I'm rooting for it. Okay, I'm all in. I'm rooting. Two, I can't emphasize enough how bad the script was for Pedro Pascal. I really am disappointed that they didn't give him better material. And I can appreciate that they're trying to make his character like some kind of pussy or something and crying all the time and going to therapy. I don't understand it. I don't know if that's kind of they're trying to preach that every tough guy needs therapy. I'm confused. Now I do know that this show, and look, the episode with the two the couple that the guy from Parks and Rec, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting his name now. That episode was controversial last year. A lot of people were like, hey, you're pushing a social agenda on us. We need it. A lot of people did. So I'm not just so for me to say, hey, they need to chill out on like getting so social agenda on me that like they're really like unbalancing the point of the show. That's a valid criticism. I don't mind that I don't mind what they're doing, but what I mind is when it's like the focus and it takes away from why I'm watching the television show. If I was signing up for a teenager lesbian drama, cool. Like I'm not an issue, but or a young, that was last episode. But if I was signing up for to watch like a Vampire Diaries, lesbian love triangle, like Interview with the Vampire, for example, on AMC. I read the books. I love the books. Huge fan of the books. I read the books twice. And Rice Guy. That show is basically gay vampires. Nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But the emphasis is very heavy on the love story, which was not quite the Anne Rice concept. And so for me, when I watch it, it's not the same as the books. I enjoy the show. I haven't been able to keep up with it. It has some really great special effects. I do enjoy the actors. But the agenda is there's a strong social agenda to it, which is cool, and some other things they do in it, not just sex, per se. But this episode it just made me concerned that not just that, but like, are we going to make Joel like crying the whole time, right? Are we going to have this Jedi Council that makes no sense, make dumb decisions? Are we going to have the Gap kids come in and act like Negan, right? I'm kind of feeling the Gap kids are going to do this thing where I'm just jumping out on a limb, that they're going to do this thing where Ellie has to make a choice, kill Joel or kill the girl she's in love with, right? That predictable stuff. And if I can predict it, yes, I'm a writer and I know these things, but if I can predict it, do it so I can't predict it, right? If you want to get there, do it in a way that I'm gonna root for you to get there, right? And I'm just not rooting for the writers right now. So I'm hoping it's a brand new episode that is fresh in next week, and I'm hoping I can be excited about it. Okay, so if you hate me, put a comment. If you don't like, me preaching to you about them preaching to me, I don't know what to tell you, but I'm not the only one. Okay, there's a lot of people that would wish, last year they wished that the show would stay on course with zombies and, drama and horror. And that's why we're watching the show. I'm just saying, I'm not really needing therapy and MMA stuff that makes no sense. Stay with me here, I got to say that moment in the grocery store was the best part of the show. And the whole show should have been like that. And that would have been cool. And if they had made the whole show like more horror, and then they had a little bit of the sex, drugs, and rock and roll on the outsides, and all the crying and the therapy on the, Give me a little of that to spicing it up. Then the whole roast is going to cook at the end. And I'm going to walk away going, that was a good episode. And instead, I was like, kind of checking out, going, this is one of the worst episodes that they're handing it to us. And maybe there's a point. Maybe they're like, give us the bad episodes and build up to good ones. But why is TV like that now? Like it never used to be like that. Like the season premiere of a television show that was popping used to be, we were fucking excited. Like Game of Thrones, you never had a Game of Thrones season premiere that you walked away and you were like, oh my God, that was boring as fuck. You never had that. It was like, oh my God, what the hell? Like you were always blown away by what they did to reward you for waiting it's really a season premiere is not for them to be artistic and make themselves feel good about, okay, we're doing social agenda messages and you feel good, I feel good, hey, you feel good, yeah, and then Joel's in therapy, tough guy, breaks down and he wants to be a good papa, you feel good, everybody feel good. No, it's like, let's break some fucking zombie heads and let's do something, let's kill a character we love or something, let's get people mad, let's get them involved. Instead, they gave us a 3-star weak ass episode, and I'm pulling for you guys. Give us a better one. All right, guys, that's it. Again, my name is Jason J. Daniel. You can follow me everywhere on the old X machine, the old Snap machine, the old Rumble machine, the old Internet machine, and let's just go out with the music. God bless you. See you on the flip side.